Palestinian leaders have slammed a plan voiced by US President Donald Trump to have Palestinians leave their land and their homes in Gaza and to go live elsewhere. Trump said he would like to see them go to Egypt or Jordan. Leaders of both of those countries were quick to reject the notion. Egypt's foreign minister saying it would be a clear infringement of Palestinians' inalienable rights. Well, Trump also gave orders for a supply of 2,000-pound bombs to be made available to Israel. To take a closer look at the potential weight behind Trump's talk, we can speak now to lecturer in international relations at the University of Tours, Elizabeth Sheppard. Thanks so much for being with us. Can I start by asking you how you react to that call and indeed the words used by Donald Trump on Sunday?
Well, I think there are two aspects. I think that Trump is not at his first surprise and shocking discourse. So it doesn't particularly surprise me, one, because the United States does support Israel, but particularly this administration is also very supported by the Christian evangelicals, Zionists that have fairly extreme views on certain questions related to Israel. So it doesn't surprise me in and of itself. As we know with Trump, often it's a way to get something else, to negotiate something else, giving this sort of incredibly shocking and surprising position to then get something different, but something important for him.
Yeah, because it sounds so incredibly far on the scale, but it's not just words. At the same time, we were hearing that he had made these bombs available to Israel. I mean, how different do you see the relationship between the Trump administration with Israel to the Biden one?
Well, first of all, I think we need to understand that the Israelis had bought these bombs, and the Biden administration had in fact delayed the delivery. The Biden administration, the United States is fairly overall pro-Israel. So they do have support in the United States, including in public opinion to a large extent. So this isn't something that shocks American public opinion necessarily, the delivery of bombs that were bought. Afterwards, yes, the Biden administration, under pressure from the more left-wing part of his party, did indeed suspend the delivery, but it was absolutely something he had promised, and it's absolutely unsurprising.
When it comes to international relations, I mean, how useful are words like those that we're hearing from Donald Trump? It seems very hostile, very aggressive approach.
It's a very aggressive approach, but it's useful for whom? It's useful for the Americans and for American interests, and that's the only thing that he has in mind. And that's something we've perhaps forgotten over time, is that, and we see this from other countries, not just the United States, but that our leaders are there also to defend our interests. He clearly does it in a way that is fairly shocking to the rest of the world. But he's not the only one that does it. And in the world that we're living in, and his desire for peace, I put peace sort of out there, even if it's not our version of peace, he clearly is using shocking words to strong arm, if you will, a lot of leaders, including his allies.
It's true that in his campaign he said that he did want to be the president for peace. He also said that he'd bring the Ukraine war to a close within 24 hours of taking office. But we haven't heard too much from him on that front, in fact, since he was inaugurated.
Well, we have, in fact. He said 6 months, and he has, including saying that he was trying to fix, we think in February, a meeting with Putin. He's actually given a few indications that he realizes that it will take more than 24 hours. There are a lot of suspicions that he wants the Nobel Peace Prize for his various works long term, because he does have an ego that is fairly important. So we don't know his exact plan for Ukraine. We do know that they're working towards it. We know that he has an envoy. Afterwards, we don't have the exact date nor the exact place. There are lots of different cities sort of being bantered about as to where he might have this meeting with Putin. But we know that it is something that's being negotiated. Is it a priority of the United States? No, it's not. Immigration is clearly the priority. Other issues are the priority. That's why he won as well. Ukraine is not a priority necessarily amongst American public opinion, neither are foreign affairs more generally. It's the economy, it's immigration. And of course, that is his first steps that we can see.
And indeed, this weekend we saw, in the last few hours, saw that diplomatic spat between the United States and Colombia about deportation flights. But we're hearing some analysts say that so far there's been no real change between how Donald Trump is doing it compared to the Biden administration, except that they are now using military planes to bring undocumented people out of the US.
I think we get this feeling that the immigration question is a right-wing question in the United States. I can remember Barack Obama creating a fence on the border and deporting a large number of people. It is both a left and a right-wing question. The great difference is the rhetoric, and we know that Donald Trump, of course, has very strong and public rhetoric. The left and the Democrats tend to do it sort of under the radar, but immigration in the United States isn't necessarily completely a left-right question. In fact, yes, using the military planes obviously is a change, but indeed, there's not a huge difference in the two parties. It's just a lot of this is for show, and perhaps he is getting more people across the border. The numbers will speak later, but clearly he won't get everyone. I mean, I think that there's 12 million people he wants to show to the border. That's going to be very hard from a technical perspective. But we do not see, compared to, let's say, Europe, a lot of differences between the left and the right on this willingness to get rid of illegal immigration.
Overall, over the next 4 years, Elizabeth Sheppard, how do you see Donald Trump influencing, and Elon Musk beside him, influencing the US's position in the world, its international relations?
Well, I think given the current situation, notably wars in both the Middle East and in Ukraine, the American position has become a much more strong one. Strong because that's what the people wanted. There's this sort of feeling that the United States was no longer sort of strong in international relations because the former administration was sort of weak, if you will. That is going to be very important. I think we will be fairly shocked over time. That being said, if he does lead to ceasefires and to peace in notably the Middle East and in Ukraine, we'll see perhaps a little more open-mindedness on the part of the rest of the world. But clearly, it's going to be a strong position defending American interests above and beyond anything else.
Elizabeth Sheppard, lecturer in international relations at the University of Tours. Thanks very much indeed.